Apple's iPhone 12 series line introduced a range from mini to max, offering consumers the latest hardware and a series of form factors, all while sporting a nostalgic flat-edge design. Its old design refined meets modern hardware, better processor, camera, and screen. And while I recently did a video on whether or not the 12 Pro Max was quote-unquote worth it, from a holistic perspective, more so than technical, as you can imagine, my opinion doesn't stray too far here in the full review. In other words, has the upgrade, to my opinion, been worth it to the 12 Pro Max? In all honesty, no. My name's Adrian for Digital Dojos, and this is my iPhone 12 Pro Max review. So I have been sporting the 12 Pro Max as my daily driver here for over a month, basically since its release. And I came and upgraded from the 11 Pro Max, so the exact model that this phone is replacing. And I've had the ability over the last month or so to really test it out and compare them side by side and how it affects me on a day-to-day usage here. And in short, while the upgrade's been nice, like I said, to me, it was by no means necessary, nor would I recommend it coming from the 11 Pro Max. Well, that can be said for a lot of technical upgrades. This time around, I genuinely felt and still do feel that my iPhone 11 Pro Max can handle everything I need to throw at it, and it doesn't feel slow or sluggish, especially with the latest iOS 14 upgrade. But for the sake of this channel, let's get the pure tech specs out of the way about this new phone. The 12 Pro Max features the largest screen we've yet to see on a iPhone, 6.7-inch OLED display, 2778 by 1284 in terms of pixels and resolution. This is the Super Retina XDR display technology, so you're getting really bright, accurate colors and contrast, as well as the really deep and rich blacks due to the OLED display. You're getting the classic Apple display in a bigger form factor here with a 6.7-inch size. You're getting Apple's latest A14 Bionic chip, which adds on to the wave Apple silicone that they're integrating across their phones and now their Macs with the M1 processor. And surprise, it's a faster, better chip as you would expect in a next generation phone. Again, A14 Bionic is not only faster in multi-core and single-core, but of course this adds to the overall efficiency that we're seeing in combination with the newer hardware and the faster speeds. Speaking of new hardware, as you can imagine, the 12 series line is going to get better cameras. But more specifically, when it comes to the Max editions, this tends to get the best of the best in terms of camera hardware and pure specs. No exception here with the 12 Pro Max. You're getting multiple upgrades, such as the f.2.2 aperture, I believe, which was coming from an f2.0 aperture. You're getting 2.5x optical zoom now in the telephoto lens. Of course, with the Max models, you get that third ultra-wide lens, which I'm personally a huge fan of and use a lot on my 11 Pro Max, and it's even better here on the 12 Pro Max, and that's due to a lot of stuff. You're getting things like dual optic image stabilization built into the lens, as well as sensor shift stabilization. So overall, you're getting really clean, better looking photos, as well as when it comes to the video side of things, you're getting more stable video when it comes to on the move and your vlogging and whatnot. Again, a much not needed upgrade, but it's a nice to have upgrade when it comes to that, and also how it helps and correlates to that of the photos and how that handles with the computational side of things. The main sensor is getting 47% increase in terms of size, so that means a lot more light can be let in, better quality photos, better performance in low light mode is where you're truly going to notice that difference there. But in short and in layman's terms, the Pro Max is bigger, it's better, it has the best camera, and due to its size, generally the best battery life. Not to mention the other upgrades it also got in terms of 5G LTE, so it's going to be the first iPhone to join that 5G spectrum of devices. Other notable changes include things like the MagSafe connector and charging capabilities that the 12 Pro Max and the 12 Pro got. So you're going to see accessories for that. And the Max itself, specifically just the Max models, are housed in stainless steel frames versus aluminum. So it means it's much more durable. It's going to be much more of a shinier looking product due to it being stainless steel, especially on this gold model. But that also means that you're going to get much more fingerprints on this thing. That's one thing I noticed right out of the box, and kind of a bummer for such a premium looking and feeling product. That said, the screen itself is much more durable due to the way they handle the glass process and the technology there. They tout all these numbers, 4x, 5x, these things much more durable. At the end of the day, all that matters is if you drop it, if it doesn't crack. And really, the more durable, the better. It's we're never going to complain about a more durable screen if it doesn't come at the cost of quality versus getting like a less durable screen. Speaking of design, this is a throwback to the iPhone 4 of latter years, right? We're bringing back that flat, squared edge design, moving away from that of the rounded edges. And having come from an 11 Pro Max, I was worried that the 6.7 inch versus 6.5 inch would be like drastically bigger and feel that much more bigger. I will say, due to the squared off edges versus the rounded edges, the phone feels about the same in hand as, and if it's not just comparing it side by side, is pretty much the same in terms of form factor. And with that, it just, it doesn't feel as big as I thought it would be, which is good in the sense of a pure size perspective. You do notice the bigger screen overall, but it feels more immersive due to those edges. And it makes the notch feel smaller due to the overall screen size being bigger. So again, nothing to complain about there. And if you were a fan of that flat edge design, well, now it's back with newer hardware and newer materials like the stainless steel here. Outside of that, I tested my phone on a day-to-day basis in comparison with, again, the 11 Pro Max, just to really kind of see the differences and anything where I truly noticed it was better to have the newer edition versus the previous edition. And here's the thing. Personally, in terms of the screen, like I just mentioned, I'm a fan of the big screen size. That's why I went Max. 6.7 inch screen, nice to have. I enjoy it. No complaints there. Apple's display technology has always been top in class. The OLED, the Retina technology. Again, no complaints. Great contrast ratios, great brightness in terms of the nits, great when it comes to watching movies, browsing the web, playing games. No complaints across the board there. In terms of battery life, another great feature when it comes to the Max for me has always been like the extended hours of battery I can get out of it. Having in the past, this is always being my daily driver, and I rely on it a lot for work. The more battery life, the better. And in the 12 Pro Max, it didn't disappoint. On average, getting around 8 to 10 hours, if not more, of just general usage, depending on load. Though in all honesty, I will say this year has been a little different. Given the climate of staying at home, not being on the go as much, I didn't have to rely on my phone as much on a day-to-day usage, meaning my screen on time has drastically dropped to 4 or 5 hours, just because I don't need to use my phone as much. I'm constantly in front of my computer. So these results are going to vary, right? Whereas I really had to depend on my phone in the previous years because I'm always out and on the go and commuting for work and clients, better battery was always important. That said, the 12 Pro Max has always lasted the whole day. I'm somebody who charges at the end of the day, picks it up in the morning, gets going, and I've rarely ever had it die or drop below 10% in a given day, other than when I'm traveling. Recently I had to travel and fly, and that's probably the closest I got to fully draining the battery, just because I was constantly using it. Again, if you're doing things like audio, you're expected to get 30 plus hours and things of that nature. Your mileage will vary, but at the end of the day, if you want the best battery life, you got to go with the Max. Now, let's shift focus to the other aspect of this phone that everybody wants to talk about, and that is the camera system. And is the upgrade to the 12 Pro Max that much more noticeable? Not just within the whole lineup of iPhones, but even within the lineup of 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max in itself. And here's what I'll say. We can talk about specs. We can talk about the 47% larger sensor, the optic image stabilization, the better aperture, XYZ. At the end of the day, I know that to the vast majority, those numbers don't mean anything, and what matters is how the photos come out and how your selfies look and XYZ. And here's the thing, in my just general comparison, side-by-side shooting, side-by-side usage of both phones. The 12 Pro Max, I expected it to be more of a drastic difference coming from the 11 Pro Max. And I will say I was disappointed there. General day-to-day usage, natural light settings, I'm out and about, and I take a photo on my way to the office or whatnot. In comparison, side-by-side with the 11 Pro Max and the 12 Pro Max, there are subtle differences. The 12 Pro Max, focuses better, focuses quicker, it has more of a natural look to the bokeh or the blurring of the backgrounds when I'm focused on the subject. But to really notice how the image is sharper or the less noisy, you really kind of have to zoom in and compare and contrast the photos side by side. I don't notice a major difference in quality when it comes to just general day-to-day usage in photos that I'm taking or videos and good lighting and good settings. Now, I will say where the 12 Pro Max gets to flex its muscles and really showcase its strengths is the low light photography, is the low light video, because you get to see the bigger sensor really come into play there and allow for more light. It's less noise, less grainy, much more sharper, much more detail comes into play with the low light photography in the 12 Pro Max than the 11 Pro Max, bar none. The addition of things like 4K Dolby HDR content, Output Pro RAW, those are nice to have, but those aren't reasons I think the general user will know or care about and simply upgrade for, right? Again, it wasn't as drastic as a difference as I wanted to see coming from the 11 Pro Max to the 12 Pro Max. The cameras are better and the cameras are still great. Do not get me wrong. This is a solid all-around camera for video, for photos, and you can't go wrong using any of the 12 Pro lines. But don't expect it to be as drastic as a change going from the 11 Pro Max to the 12 Pro Max. There's even cases where I looked at photos I took on my 11 Pro Max and I felt like due to how it handles the computational, like for example, the saturation in the 11 Pro Max handled better, or I liked the look of the photos more in the 11 Pro Max than I did my newest 12 Pro Max. So I felt conflicted there. At the end of the day, it is a better camera, but it's marginal between the two generations. And that leads me to say it's even more marginal between the 12 Pro Max and the 12 Pro. So don't buy the Max if you're already gung-ho and set on upgrading to the 12 line, regardless of what I say in this video. Don't upgrade to the Max simply for the camera. Pick the phone that's best for your budget, for your form factor and size that you feel most comfortable carrying and holding, and go with that. The camera's going to be fine regardless of where you go. You're not going to notice a major difference between the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max when it comes to camera. Again, there's certain exceptions there, ultra wide lenses, things of that nature. But again, there are certain lenses that you're going to get in the 12 Pro Max, I should say, versus the 12 Pro. But in terms of overall just general quality in photos, you're not going to notice that much of a difference. That all said, again, I've been comparing the 12 Pro Max to that of the 11 Pro Max, and I understand that not everybody upgrades from the previous generation or has a previous generation of the phone. So it's going to be different. It's going to vary depending on the phone you're coming from. If you're coming from anything below the 10, then yes, it's going to be a drastic enough change. But my overall recommendation here, all of these things in consideration, if you're on the 11 series, wait it out. Wait till the next iteration of iPhone comes out. It's going to be worth of an upgrade. There's no major reason right now I feel to upgrade. Again, if you have a clean upgrade path, if you're on a much older phone and you need to upgrade, if you can't wait it out, then yes, this is the best phone you can get in terms of the 12 lineup. All that said, for me, upgrading to this 12 Pro Max, while nice, wasn't necessary for me. Its upgrades are great, but nothing to rush and spend $1,000 plus on. It's the first year in a while that I can say that this 12 Pro 12 lineup recommendation of a phone is just not there for me. It didn't feel like enough of an upgrade for me. And even just saying the 12 Pro Max specifically didn't feel like a max enough upgrade, if that makes any sense. Yes, it has a better screen. Yes, it has a better battery, bigger screen size, better battery, better camera system. But that's the typical thing that we always see in the Max. This isn't, nothing too exciting. It felt more like an 11 Pro S upgrade than it did a whole new generation of phones. I really wish that Apple would have done more to really discern this from the pack and the 12 Pro lineup. Even on the iOS side, I wish they could have, the screens have been getting bigger and bigger over the years. I wish Apple would have made the effort to allow for customization as far as an extra row of icons on the Max models, an extra row on the dock, or an extra icon on the dock even on the Max models. I feel like they're not utilizing the screen space as much on the software side, despite making the screen bigger and bigger year after year. Again, there's just so much more I feel like could have been done on the Max to really separate it. And, we want to see things like faster refresh rate and stuff like that, which maybe the iPhone is just not ready for until next year. So that all said, wait till next year is my overall recommendation. Wait till the next generation. I think that's going to be more bang for your buck. You're going to see more of those features come out and more of the kind of future-proofing features that we wanted to see, whether it's a higher refresh rate screen, Touch ID into the power button, things of that nature. Who knows? In this case, if you're upgrading to the Max, it's simply because, well, in this case, size matters. You're getting the biggest phone. You're getting the biggest battery. Don't upgrade to it. It's purely for the camera. Those are my recommendations. I'm Adrian, and if you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.